Let's start with the Wendigo from the Algonquian folklore. Now I know what you're thinking, the Wendigo, I've heard of that from horror games. But let me tell you, the real folklore is much worse than any video game could ever portray. The Wendigo is described as a gaunt giant towering at 15 feet tall, with yellowed fangs, sunken eyes, and skin so thin you can see its bones underneath. But here's the truly horrifying part. It's constantly starving. No matter how much flesh it consumes, it's never satisfied. It's driven by an insatiable hunger that grows stronger with each victim. Imagine living in a world where someone you know, your neighbor, your friend, or even a family member, could transform into this creature simply by resorting to cannibalism during desperate times. The transformation is irreversible, and once it happens, that person you once knew becomes a relentless predator that will never stop hunting. A psychological horror of the Wendigo isn't just the monster itself, it's the fact that it represents the thin line between civilization and savagery, and how quickly we could cross those lines. Moving on to the Nucalawi from the Orkney folklore in Scotland. This thing is hands down one of the most disturbing creatures I've ever researched. It's part horse, part human, but in the worst way possible. The Nucalawi has no skin. None. You can see all its muscles, veins and tendons working as it moves. It has a human torso growing out of the horse's back, with arms so long they can nearly drag on the ground. But the most unsettling part is it has no separate head, just a massive eye in the center of where its face should be, and a mouth that splits horizontally across what would be the horse's neck. This creature emerges from the sea and brings diseases, crop failure, and even death. Its breath is toxic, killing plants and animals. It hates fresh water, which is literally the only thing that can stop it. Can you imagine living on a coastal island, knowing that this skinless abomination could emerge from the waves at any given moment? The Nucalawi doesn't just kill, it brings pestilence and famine into entire communities. It's like if death itself took physical form and decided to make everyone's life miserable. This would be it. Now let's talk about the Bakhtak from Persian folklore. This one hits different because it attacks you when you're at your most vulnerable, i.e. when you're sleeping. The Bakhtak looks like a dark, shadowy figure that sits on your chest while you sleep, causing nightmares and sleep paralysis. But it's not just giving you bad dreams, it's literally feeding on your life force through your terror. The more afraid you become, the stronger it gets. What makes this particularly terrifying is that many people throughout history have reported experience that match the Bakhtak's description perfectly. That feeling of being unable to move, of something pressing down on your chest, of seeing a dark figure in your peripheral vision, yet being unable to do anything about it. Imagine if every time you went to sleep, there was a chance that this shadow creature would visit you, trap you in your own body, and slowly drain your energy while forcing you to experience the worst fears. Sleep would become a gamble with your sanity and your life, and the worst part, there's no way to fight something that attacks you in your dreams. The manananggal from the Filipino folklore is what happens when you take every creepy aspect of vampires and witches and combine them into something truly horrific. During the day, the manananggal looks like a normal person. It could be your teacher, your shopkeeper, anyone you know. But at night, it transforms. Its upper body literally separates from its lower body and sprouts bat-like wings. The upper torso flies around, leaving the legs behind, searching for pregnant women and unborn children to feed on. It has a long, thread-like tongue that it uses to suck out the blood of the fetus, and it can squeeze through the tiniest of gaps in houses. The sound of its wing is said to be louder when it's farther away, and quieter when it gets close, which means you'll never really know if it's right outside your window. The truly disturbing part is how it preys specifically on new life, on the hopes and dreams of families waiting for their children to be born. It's not just a monster, it's a creature that feeds on potential, on future happiness. And the fact that it looks completely human during the day means you could be living next to one and never know until it's too late. Now, staying in the Philippines, let's talk about the Aswang, a shape-shifting creature that looks like a Swiss Army knife of horror. It can appear as a dog, a bird, a pig, or a human, and it feeds on human flesh, particularly favouring children and pregnant women. What makes the Aswang so terrifying is its intelligence and adaptability. It doesn't just mindlessly attack, it plans, it stalks, it learns your routines. It might befriend your family while in human form, gaining your trust, learning when you're at your most vulnerable. The Aswang can smell the scent of pregnant women from miles away. It will patiently wait for the right moment, then use its long tongue to feed through cracks in the floor or walls. It replaces the blood it drinks with water, so victims often don't even realize they're being fed on until they're severely weakened. Living in a world with the Aswang would mean never trusting anyone completely, never feeling safe in your own home, and constantly wondering if that friendly neighbour who's been so helpful lately might actually be planning to make you the next meal. The paranoia alone on this would drive people insane. The Rakshasa from Hindu and Buddhist traditions is a demon that perfectly embodies the concept of evil hiding behind a beautiful facade. These creatures are master shapeshifters and illusionists, often appearing as attractive humans to catch their victims. But here's what makes them uniquely terrifying. Their hands are backwards. Their palms face outward, which seems like a small detail until you realize it represents everything that's wrong and unnatural about them. They're beings of pure opposition to the natural order. Rakshasas are incredibly intelligent and possess powerful magic. They can create elaborate illusions, making you see loved ones when you're actually looking at monsters. They're nearly immortal and extremely difficult to kill. But what's worse is that they're not just evil, they're sophisticated evil. They understand human nature, they can manipulate emotions, and they can take genuine pleasure in corruption and suffering. Imagine living in a world where demons could perfectly imitate your spouse, your children, your best friends, and the only way you might notice is if you happen to see their hands. They could infiltrate every level of society, turning people against each other, creating chaos from within. Trust would become impossible, and society itself would crumble under the weight of constant suspicion and fear. The churel from South Asian folklore represents one of humanity's oldest fears, the fear of vengeful spirits. But this isn't just any spirit. The churel is the spirit of a woman who died in childbirth or during menstruation, and she returns with backwards feet and an insatiable desire for revenge against men. She appears as a beautiful woman from the front, often wearing white, and she uses her beauty to seduce men before revealing her true self. What makes the churel particularly disturbing is the injustice behind her creation. These were often women who died due to inadequate medical care, societal neglect, or in circumstances where they couldn't get help. Their anger in death is proportional to the suffering they endured in life. If necessary, the churel will follow her victims for years. She's patient, methodical, and absolutely relentless. She might appear to a man as his ideal woman, only to slowly drive him insane with a desire before finally revealing that she's been dead all along. Psychological torture can last for months or even years. In a world with churels, every beautiful stranger would be a potential threat. From the Malaysian folklore comes the penanggalan, which is quite possibly the most grotesque creature on this list. It's a detached female head with trailing organs, heart, stomach, lungs, all hanging beneath it like bloody ribbons as it flies through the night. The penanggalan is created when a woman practicing black magic is interrupted at a crucial moment, causing her head to detach from her body. But here's the thing, she is still alive, still conscious, and now she's driven by insatiable hunger for the blood of newborns and pregnant women. This creature can squeeze through floorboards and walls, appearing in homes where women are giving birth. The image of a disembodied head with trailing organs floating through the night, seeking to harm the most vulnerable members of your family, is the stuff of absolute nightmares. But what's even worse is the origin story. The idea that practicing forbidden knowledge could literally tear you apart while you keep conscious and hungry for eternity is a special kind of horror. It's body horror combined with existential dread. You're no longer human, but you're still aware of what you've become. Living in a world with Penanggalans would mean that pregnancy and childbirth, already vulnerable times, would become periods of absolute terror. Every creak in the house, every shadow in the corner could be the Penanggalan coming for your child. The Jiangshi from Chinese folklore is often called a hopping vampire. But that cute description doesn't do justice to how terrifying this creature actually is. Imagine a zombie that doesn't rot, doesn't feel pain, and has supernatural strength and speed. The Jiangshi is created when a person's soul fails to leave their body after death, usually due to improper burial or a violent death. The body becomes rigid, hence the hopping movement, but it's incredibly strong and nearly indestructible. It's covered in greenish white mold, has long white hair, and its breath is so toxic it can kill. But what makes the Jiangshi particularly horrifying is that it actively seeks out living people to steal their life force, and every person it kills has the potential to become another Jiangshi. It's like a supernatural plague that could theoretically spread across entire populations. The Jiangshi is also intelligent and can learn. It remembers its past life and might specifically target people it knew when it was alive. Imagine dying and then having to worry about your deceased relatives coming back as undead monsters with a personal grudge. In a world with the Jiangshi, death wouldn't be an end. It would be a potential for beginning of something much worse. Every funeral would be a risk, and every burial site would be a potential source of supernatural terror. Finally, let's talk about the Dullahan from the Irish folklore, the headless horseman that inspired Washington Irving's famous story, but the original is much worse. The Dullahan is a harbinger of death who rides a black horse, or sometimes drives a cart pulled by 6 black horses, and he carries his own head under his arm. When he stops riding, someone dies. It's that simple. The Dullahan should never stop riding. What makes the Dullahan truly nightmarish is he can't be stopped or reasoned with. Gates fly open before him, locks break, barriers crumble. He goes wherever he wants, whenever he wants. And when he stops and calls out a name, that person immediately drops dead, no matter where they are or what they're doing. The Dullahan's head has a massive eye that can see for miles in the dark, and a mouth that stretches from ear to ear. Sometimes he uses his whip, which is made from human spine, to lash out the eyes of those who dare to watch him. What makes this creature particularly terrifying is the inevitability it represents. Death comes for everyone, but the Dullahan makes it personal, deliberate, and immediate. There's no negotiating, no escaping, no fighting back. When your time is up, you simply die, whether you're ready or not. In a world with the Dullahan, every hoofbeat in the night would strike terror into people's heartbeats. Every time someone didn't come home when expected, you'd wonder if the headless horseman had called their name. So there you have it, 10 mythical creatures that I am genuinely grateful don't exist in our world. Each one represents a different aspect of human fear: the loss of humanity, the vulnerability of sleep, the fear of the unknown, and the dread of inevitable death. What strikes me most about these creatures is how they reflect the specific anxieties and concerns of the cultures that created them. The Wendigo represents the fear of starvation and cannibalism in harsh winters. The Manangalan reflects concerns about the maternal mortality and infant death. The Churel embodies guilt over societal treatment of women. These aren't just random monsters designed to scare children. They're sophisticated expressions of very real human fears and societal issues. But here's the thing that really gets me. Even though these creatures are mythical, the fears they represent are still very real. We still worry about losing our humanity in desperate situations. We still fear the unknown lurking in the dark. We still grapple with injustice and its consequences. So what do you think? Are there any mythical creatures that are particularly terrifying to you? Or maybe some that I missed that you think deserve a spot on this list? Let me know in the comments below. I love hearing about different cultures, perspectives on mythical creatures. And if you enjoyed diving into the dark side of mythology, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content.